Well, thank you for joining me today, Cynthia. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Sure. My name is Cynthia Orozco. I am a librarian at East Los Angeles College under, I guess, the title of Equity Services Librarian, and previously the Student Services Librarian in a very similar role at Cal State Long Beach.
Great. And we're talking to you today because I don't know, you're just a great expert on all things paywalled and open access and open educational resources. So the first question that I have, and I'm sure many of our students do as well, why are textbooks so damn expensive?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so the funny thing is, I've had this conversation with a lot of my colleagues, and I might date myself a little bit here, but even when I started school in 2001, textbooks just weren't as expensive as they are now. I think I rarely paid over $100 for a textbook, and I typically bought every textbook I needed. And I don't think it barely hit over 200 each quarter because I was at a UC. But the rise of the costs of textbooks have just gone up exponentially, just like we see for other things like home prices for medical services. But there's plenty of charts that just show you that textbooks have have gone up even more so than those other areas in our markets. And it's just that these academic publishers are still finding ways to make books really, really expensive. So when the internet was invented, the whole idea was like, okay, online is going to make things equitable, but the publishers have somehow managed to create this huge monopoly in which 5 academic publishers are really dominating the market. And as students, you'll probably recognize these names. It's Pearson, Scholastic, McGraw-Hill, Cengage, and Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Those are our monopolized textbook publishers. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we're trying to disrupt these kind of strongholds over textbook prices.
Yeah, one of the things we've talked about a little bit in our course is that there are these things called open access publishing. We've talked about it mostly for journal articles. I know there's a similar movement in with textbooks, and that's called open educational resources. Can you tell us a little bit about what is OER or open educational resources?
Sure. So OER, it's situated under the broader open access movement, but this is specifically things that are used in the context of teaching and learning. So there's 2 main things in the definition. It's one, that they are free, and 2 is that they're openly licensed. So this is where it gets kind of complicated. But this could include a lot of different types of educational materials. Homework assignments, tests, quizzes, entire courses, like a whole Blackboard course, just a specific module in Blackboard, streaming videos, software. But the one that students really get excited about is textbooks. So even though the free textbook part is the thing about OER that really attracts students, it's worth noting that the open license is a really important part of this definition. And there's varying levels of open. So say that I'm writing a textbook, I can make so here are the various examples of what levels of open they are. I make my book OER, and you as another professor can do anything with it. I make my book OER, and all you have to do is give me credit. I make my book OER, and you can't change it at all. You just have to use it as it is. I make my book OER, but you can't make any money off of it. I make my book OER, but however you use my original work, you also have to make your work OER. So there's these different levels of openness, but that comes with some really fun things. So you can Frankenstein books, essentially. You can use someone else's book completely as is. You can make it a little bit different. You can make it totally different. You can put 1, 2, 3 OER together and make like a completely new product. So the open license is a really fun part of OER as well.
Awesome. It does sound fun. In some ways, it reminds me of our own course. It's kind of a weird Franken of free materials. So what can students do to advocate for free and low-cost materials like free textbooks?
Sure. So one of the things that makes the most sense and probably is the easiest bar for a student to get involved in free and low-cost course materials is to take OER classes. So if you haven't already looked, when you're in the, I wrote this down because I'm not with your school, when you're in My Class Search, you can actually look for classes that are designated zero cost course material, ZCCM, and it has a little icon with like a money sign and then like a no sign through it. And that's how you can know a course is not requiring you to purchase any materials. So taking OER classes is a great first start. But you can also hype up professors who are using open textbooks or having free classes. And that can happen in a couple of different ways. When you do your course evaluations at the end of the semester, you can say, hey, this professor is great. They understand my needs as a student and they aren't requiring free textbooks. You can rate my professors and say, hey, this professor uses OER. It's really cool. You should know about this. Or, there's a lot of value in just talking to your friends about OER and spreading the word that way. Because to be honest, a lot of students don't know OER is a thing. And getting back to the ZCCM noted classes, there is actual California legislation that makes it so that CSUs have to denote this in their course schedule. So it's important to know that as students. And that actually creates a little bit of demand on the college and university's part to support OER as an intentional effort. You can also write an email about how OERs affect your experience as a student. So just straight up email your professor and say, hey, OER has been really great. This is how it has affected my experience. And hey, why don't you forward this to your department chair or your dean? Maybe you can actually say, I think this department should have more OER. This work is really, really important, but a lot of times it isn't recognized. And it's being done pretty silently, and I think it deserves a little bit more hype. The other thing you can do is make some noise as students, work with, your librarians, not just in this course, but the other librarians who are working in the library who are doing OER work and other equity work, working with associated students or other student clubs. Again, a lot of students don't know this is a thing. So if you go to your associated students and say, hey, I think we should have some kind of way that we're advocating OER as a student group outside of, official channels. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Cynthia. Those are all great suggestions. Is there anything else you think students should know about textbook industry or open educational resources?
Sure. So I think it's important not to demonize faculty who aren't using OER. This kind of gets to a lot of times professors don't understand students' needs because, to be honest, a lot of us haven't been students for a very long time. I remember working with a faculty member, another librarian who was like, I always bought my textbooks. I don't know why these students aren't buying their textbooks. So even some librarians and some faculty don't understand how much these textbook prices really have risen. And there's a lot of evidence that shows that faculty don't even know how much their books cost. Not all of them. But on the flip side, students should realize that it's not just swapping out one textbook for another textbook. It really isn't that easy. This actually requires a major overhaul for existing classes, depending on the course. And so, think about ways that you can support faculty. What do faculty need to be successful? So there's faculty, for example, who don't think there's good OER available or think copyright and open licenses are really confusing. So how might these people get help? If professors are like, I just don't know where to start, refer them to an OER librarian, refer them to your professor who either can help them or refer them to another librarian. Just keep in mind that there's a lot of work involved for faculty, and so it's not going to be an overnight solution. There still are a lot of discipline areas that don't have a lot of OER. And so there are faculty out there who are creating them as we speak. But again, we have our big 5 publishers who have a lot of content existing. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of people to do this work. Sometimes it's just the faculty member who's just trying to create the stuff on their own. So it's going to take some time to think about ways that you can help them. And even just incremental ways, like, okay, maybe not completely doing an open textbook for the next semester, but maybe have, one module that is OER and help faculty get involved in the efforts.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Cynthia. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.